And welcome back for the last part of your career planning workshop. So now that you've got your wonderful big plan, let's try and surround you with some routines and some habits that will support you in ensuring that you are referring back to this and that you are creating a habit and a routine that as a leader, you invest in yourself and in your time to be able to make sure you're doing the right work. All right. So when we do this, I kind of call it a date with yourself. Like you're going to spend some time with you and your stories and the things you've been doing at work, and you're really going to create some time and space in your calendar to be able to do this. So when I say set the scene, I'd really like you to think about where you work best. So I'll give you some examples throughout my career. When I was doing, I was a STLAN, so support teacher in literacy and numeracy. So I was the numeracy coordinator for the school, and I worked very closely with the literacy and a head of department at the time. And we were both aspiring leaders and we wanted to work on our projects. So we would actually set aside every fortnight on a Wednesday afternoon, we would stay back from work, which required me to organize after school care. So it was very strategic. I set the scene and I stayed at work and we bought snacks and the two of us sat down and we really just bounced things around. We spent time writing stories. Like we spent a couple of hours every fortnight putting things together. And so that worked really beautifully because we both were quite verbal and we needed to share ideas to be able to form them. When I was in a leadership role, I have two small children and they were doing dancing at the time. And so my set the scene was I had a standing date with myself at the local, or from the dance studio up the road, there was a McDonald's. I had a McCafe and there was beautiful comfy booths. So I would go there while the girls were dancing because parents weren't allowed in. I would go there, I'd order myself a coffee and I would work for an hour and a half on this big picture stuff. So I would do all my big picture planning in this time. I would write my stories in this time, but it was just about me investing time in me. It wasn't about busy work. I wasn't answering emails. None of that was not my priority. It was all about my career, what I was doing, how the projects were going, looking at my plan and then going, ooh, I need to check in with blah and blah. So I could then write those emails to those people because that was actually helping move my project forward. Or, oh, so-and-so hasn't done this thing yet. I need to follow up with that person. And I would you would get a barrage of emails from me on a Thursday because I would be sitting there just crossing all the I's, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. I would just get everything really organized. And it was a little time every week that was just for me. And that set the scene that I didn't have schoolwork with me. It was just my laptop and me, sit down, do it. That also means that you need to come up with some time. So think about where you work best. So set the scene. Maybe it is when you're home alone. So it would be great if the kids could just leave the house, or maybe you work best on a Friday night with a glass of wine underneath your belt and off you go. And you can be very verbose and write about yourself and track all your projects. Maybe you are a Sunday night planner and it's like, right, school's tomorrow. What do I need to do this week to move all my projects forward? And you sort of think about where that is and you start to lock it in. The best way to make sure that you are accountable is you tell somebody about it. So tell your partner, tell whoever else is in your house. On a Sunday, I need to be sitting down doing this. Set a reminder in your phone, put it in your calendar, whatever it requires, just some regularity. If you are still teaching in the classroom, making sure you're setting aside specific time for you to do the planning to get ahead on your classwork. As an aspiring leader and as a leader, if you're already in the job, you would know this, is that the first thing that starts to fall apart is your classes. Your ability to turn up to the classroom and have these amazing lessons prepared starts to wobble a little bit because you end up playing with the new and shiny and the fun stuff, which is doing your leadership projects and managing people and solving problems for them that your kids can suffer. So I want you to make sure you set aside some time where it's just about you and your kids, but I want you to boundary it up and go, right, I'm going to plan out a week of work and it's going to happen within these 2 hours and I'm only going to do it here. Or it's like, I'm only going to do school planning during school time. And so in my spares, in my planning correction time, this is what I'm going to do. And whatever gets done, whatever doesn't. And you live with that, because sometimes we can spend so long creating the most perfect lesson, but if you are aspiring and making that transition, beautiful, great lessons are not going to make you a leader. So you need to make functional lessons where your kids are getting the right information, and this is where sharing and the years of experience come back, and using digital tools to make things easier on yourself. So make sure you've got some time to prep your classes. For me, this is a bit extreme, but I loved planning everything out during the school holidays. I would actually take a couple of days of my school holidays and I would do an entire term planning for all my classes so that it was all squared away. And the more I did it, the quicker it got, because I had old plans, just shuffled some dates around, boom, done. It's even gone even quicker now that I am doing a lot of things on OneNote, so that I can just copy and paste across old things and put kids into a course and it's already there. It exists. Off I go. So, and for most of us, that's where we are in our career. You could give us a whiteboard marker and a group of 20-something kids and we'd still smash out an amazing lesson, because we're such great practitioners. That's why you're here looking at going next level in your career. So you actually need a permission slip for some people in this transition to back off of making the most perfect, amazing, wonderful lesson and go with consistently average lessons, because consistently average will mean your students are still getting the very best. All right, make some time to do some big picture planning. If you can't commit every single week, if you're in transition, and maybe it is a once a fortnight, maybe it's a once a month, and you make a thing of it and go, right, tonight I'm actually going to sit down, I'm going to, however you work best, right. So with those, putting them in your calendar, setting any reminders, putting them on a wall calendar, in a digital, whatever it is, tell somebody about it. There's a few strategies that I gave you there. You need to create these around you so that you are turning up for yourself consistently, that you've got your finger on the pulse and you're not leaving things to the last minute. And especially because jobs come up so quickly in schools, that you want to have at least half-assed a whole bunch of stuff rather than having absolutely nothing prepared. And you're like, you need an application in the next week. And you're like, and then the whole world just tips upside down and you're not focused. So by consistently starting and plodding away, you're going to be in a much better position than if you left everything to the last minute. All right. So you now have a career plan. You've got some routines and habits that you're going to be able to put in place. You've got some calendar reminders. You've got something you can print out, stick on your wall, and put it somewhere, copy into your diary, whatever it is. You've got a plan. And how does that feel? If that feels like, whoa, I have it, this is kind of cool, I'm interested and a bit wary, beautiful. That just means you're right on the edge of your comfort zone, and that's a wonderful place to be, because that's where growth happens. If you've gone through all of this and it's still super duper overwhelming, I do want to provide you with a quick offer. And this is to anyone, honestly. If you would like to bring your career planning session to a Zoom call with me, we can go through it and make sure that it's doing its job for you. So basically, here's what I want, Michelle. This is where I want to go. Will these stories fill this in? Blah, 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 blah. And just basically have somebody go over it and just approve it to make sure that you're not going down the wrong rabbit hole, or it's not right. Or maybe you've got some questions about data, you don't know what to collect. They're my genius zones. Come bring them to a call with me. There'll be a link down below for a free 30-minute call. Book that in and let me help you. Now, the other offer is okay, cool, I've got a plan, and now I really need some accountability. Now I really need some help implementing it, because I've never done anything like this before. Or, okay, now I have a plan, but I know the people I have to do this with are really hard work. I need a hand. Or I am a mum and I've still got kids, but I really want this career and I want to juggle it all and I want to have it all. Then I really need somebody to make sure that I'm staying on track and not getting distracted by the new and shiny and doing too much. then this is what I help people with. So there are 3 sort of zones where I work with teachers and aspiring leaders. So today we've gone through the career planning part. So I've underlined that here. So we'll help people with creating really great stories and writing the selection criteria, preparing for interviews. So that's all part of this promotional process. I also help people just lead and manage change. So how are you going about changing things? What is your process? What are your steps? What kind of data are you collecting that is meaningful and useful and not just data for data's sake? How are you bringing staff on board and bringing them into the fold to be able to lead? How are you managing the change so people don't get freaked out? So that is all part of my leading and managing change. And the other part is I care about you and how you show up and making sure that you rock up to work every day in a space where you are feeling supported, where you are feeling confident, where the stress isn't getting to you, where that imposter syndrome isn't going to leak in anywhere. So I also do mindset work because as a coach, I've been trained, my experiences in leadership, but then I also did a bunch of training around how to support your mindset as you're going in, rewiring a subconscious, working on habits and behaviors and limiting beliefs. So there's a belief in a lot of people that I'm just not ready yet. And I'll be ready when I can do it all correctly. I don't want to go for a job if I don't know how to do all the parts. And so working with people around mindset to get the confidence to go, you know what, I'm going to give it a go anyway. And you know what, that feeling that I have, that nervousness about speaking in front of people, I want to work on that. So there's a lot of other mindset things. It's difficult to describe with somebody unless I have your example with you, because it resonates with different people in different ways. All right, so that's how I help you. And as a mentor, which is what I am, so teacher career coach, as a mentor, the things that you will get out of it is you're going to have amazing leadership stories with very sexy data that are just going to demonstrate your ability to lead so well because you've got all the boxes ticked. You're going to have your selection criteria written. You're going to be prepared for your interviews. Like all of that is going to be on point and prepared, which in turn is then going to help you feel like you understand yourself better, where you are learning about how you do leadership, not how your favorite HOD does leadership, not how the principal does leadership, but how you turn up as a leader. You've gotten very good at peopling, so you can handle conflict better. You know how to listen to people and solve their problems. You're able to then influence people to be able to get on board and to be able to understand what they're struggling with so you can help them best. And ultimately, that's just going to make you so much more confident, and just your belief in leadership and that you can do it is just going to shoot through the roof. Okay. So this is a longer transition, a longer mentorship. So we do this over 6 months, just one-to-one via Zoom calls. And the focus is obviously on getting your promotional process working, leading and managing change, and keeping your mindset supportive as you're going through it. You get a recording at the end of each of our sessions so that you can go back and listen through. You get support via email and Messenger. It's Facebook Messenger because that's the majority of where my business is at the moment. We do strategies in the session, but we also do give you things to work on as you're in between sessions, and you have access to a private Facebook group with my other VIPs. So these are other aspiring leaders that are in this same space working with me and improving. It's really about you. The other thing I haven't got written on here is that there is no limit to the number of calls that we can have. So in the 6 months, you've got access to me as much as you need, because I've done that in the past. If it was once every 2 weeks, some weeks there would be not as much to work on, and other weeks you would need me far more often. So I've changed that around and given you the option to be able to book me whenever you need me. You've got me for 6 months to be able to make sure that you've got enough stories that you've started fresh and then gone deep with a lot of them, or you've written all your old ones. So to work with me one-to-one, if you are watching this in 2021, the current price is $888 for the 6 months, or $155 for each of the 6 months that we work together. and as a price. If you are watching this and it is 2022, these prices will have changed. But if you are interested, either way, the next step that you need to do is to book a call with me. So down below this video series, there is a link that says book a free 30-minute call. It's the same as the one I suggested when I was talking about offer number 1. If you want me to check through your plan, that's still valid. We just talk about your plan and make sure it's on point. I don't want you to walk away from here with something that isn't going to work for you. But if you would like my support as well, this is the other option. Prices will be increasing as of January 1. It goes up to $1,295 in January, so $1,295, and then the per month price is $225. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, that was me thinking out loud. All right, so if you need any help with anything, book in a free call. Let's have a chat about your plan. You know how I work in terms of what I do, continuing to help you in the long term, which is in the VIP leadership coaching. But if you are just stuck and have questions, use my time up. Let's go. Let's make sure your plan is going to work for you, because I don't want you to walk away from this free training and not have something that you can't actually action. All right. If you found me through Facebook, make sure that you come along and follow me on Facebook. It's at Brilliant Brains Coaching. I'm also on Instagram, a little less so, but I am on Instagram as well. And if by following along, you're going to get the latest trainings that I put out, the new workshops that I create as the year goes on. I ask my audience all the time what they're up to. You're also on my mailing list now too, so that you get a newsletter about what the recent bits and pieces are happening and in the business. All right, good luck, amazing aspiring leader. I hope 2022 brings you all the promotions that you want. All right, see you later. Bye.